Hey, y'all know what it is, man. This ain't nothing for y'all, man. CED-UP press bar click, you understand that? Come kick me before me, you know what I'm saying? Come ride with your boy, man. Hey! West side of Accardo, you know what I'm saying? Don't want to go for you, understand? Go ride now, man. Go ride with me, bro, guys.
We back. We back in this bitch. Let's go. We back in this bitch. Yo. Welcome to the Juiced Up Show, episode 11. We took the week off. You thought I was going to quit? You thought I was just going to give up like that? Boy, slap yourself with baby powder. We ain't quitting that easy. I went from an 8-ball to 8 zips. We got this shit. Let's go. So episode 11 of the Juiced Up Show. I'm Jake, Juiced Up Accardo. We are back. We are feeling fresh to death here in the garage. Portland, Oregon is the spot. Juiced Up Show is basically ESPN meets TMZ. We do sports, pop culture, anything on social media, anything kind of trending. We'll talk about it if it's worth talking about. We don't do politics. We don't do religion. And at the end of the day, that's just the way it is. Make sure you hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, pass the link along. Share it with friends. Comment in the comment section. I love to hear some feedback. I love to correspond with people. So let's just keep it rolling. We ain't gonna give up. Don't stop. Won't stop. We ain't gonna give up. So on this week's show, we're gonna start off with a little history fact. We got some NFL recap from week 5. We're going to do a little bit of MLB playoff talk. We got top 5 MVP NFL candidates as of right now, in my opinion. We're going to talk about that. And then at the end of the show, it's the Juiced Up takes. And that's how we do it. So first off, I get these like emails every day. They're like history facts. Some of them are pretty cool. Some will talk about like price houses in the 50s in America, and just kind of how like when the VA opened up like the VA mortgage program, a lot of ex-vets were able to buy homes, and that's kind of what made the home industry boom in the 50s. So you get like little facts like that, little tidbits that are pretty cool that are just like good to keep in the back of your mind. So if you ever come across a conversation like that, you got some info to share. So this one I got was pretty cool. It was about Albert Einstein. Obviously, we know he was a great scientist, a great physicist. But he had 5 life lessons from Albert Einstein. I got this email. First one was imagination is the key. So when asked about the process behind scientific discoveries in a 1929 interview, Einstein credited a perhaps surprising trait. Imagination is more important than knowledge. That's quote unquote. For knowledge is limited, whereas imagination encircles the entire world. So obviously, this guy's deep. He's a smart dude. So he thought imagination was key to never lose that. You always want to keep your imagination, and that obviously will keep you thriving for more things as long as you keep open your creative mindset. So that's a good one. That's the first one. Number 2 on the five life lessons. Stay curious. For Einstein, curiosity wasn't just about asking questions, although he did plenty of that, but also that remaining open to change and new perspectives throughout life. I have no special talents. I am only passionately curious, he famously said. The openness helped him question long-held assumptions about the universe, and in turn, he upended ideas of absolute space and time. And with this theory of relativity, reimagined gravity and engaged critically with emerging quantum theory, investigating its limits while refining his own views when needed. So the second one, first one, we got imagination is key. Then we got stay curious, which is basically just say, never get complacent with something. Always stay open. Always stay curious, obviously, but always stay open to new perspectives and never stay closed-minded. So I think that's a great one. I think that can go into a lot of different categories. It can go into music. It can go into different foods. I mean, try something. If it's not for you, it's not for you. But I think you should always give it a couple tries and open your mind. When I was a kid, I would stay pretty close-minded to music, and I stuck to generally hip-hop. Hip-hop is definitely my go-to genre now, but I also love country music. I also love a lot of classical stuff, so like old school Earth, Wind, and Fire. So like even as a young person, it's good to try to raise your kids to stay open-minded, stay curious, and don't just stay closed off to one avenue or one thing, because you might miss out on things. And sometimes I feel like that maybe in life because I was, the way I was brought up, I was too afraid to do something because I didn't want to get made fun of. So it could have held me back in some things that maybe I would have been good at in my younger years, and that maybe could have put me into a different, different avenue of things. But I am here, I am where I am, and I'm happy with my life. So I'm not, not going down that route. But I'm just saying. So number 3 is strive to be more valuable than successful. I thought this was one of the better ones out of the 5 that I kind of looked into. In a 1955 interview, Einstein cautioned against measuring life by status or titles. Try not to become not a man of success, but try to become a man of value. So basically just saying, sometimes just because you're successful doesn't mean you're going to be as appreciated as someone that can bring more stuff to the table, or that, is obviously to more value. So I love this one. He is considered successful in our day. Who he is considered successful in our day who gets more out of life than he puts in, but a man of value will give more than he receives. So that's great too. Just having morals, having values, that kind of comes with also religion, and if you're into God and Christ. So I like that one a lot. I think that's one of the better ones that I like out of these 5. Next one is follow your intuition. Einstein often trusted his instincts even before he had research to back them up. I believe in intuitions and inspirations. I sometimes feel that I am right. I do not know that I am. Those leaps of faith tested rigorously later, where he prompted his most famous ideas, such as the theory of relativity. So that's a good one. Follow your intuition. Also, that kind of falls back into staying curious. Stay curious. Don't give into the status quo. Follow your gut. Sometimes you just gotta follow your gut. Like kind of like with these NFL coaches, they do the analytics. Like, oh, the analytics say to go for it. Well, follow your gut. If your O-line's looking like trash and you're not run blocking that well, don't run up the middle on 4th and inches. Okay, don't do it. Don't do it. Okay, getting off topic. I'm sorry. Number 5, have the courage to question authority. Einstein's most radical discoveries became with doubts, a hallmark of his rebellious streak. Why should time be fixed? Why must space be absolute? Even at a young age, his independent mind clashed with the rigid expectations of school. Later, his refusal to accept conventional wisdom drove breakthroughs that overturned physics as we know it. Blind respect for authority is the greatest enemy of truth, he famously said. And, I feel like with a lot of stuff that's going on in our climate these days, it's not the worst thing in the world to question authority. Do it in a respectful way, do it in an educated way. Don't be ignorant about it. And I feel like those are all great things. So that's 5 life lessons of Albert Einstein. If you want a copy, let me know. I'll get you a copy. All right. So our first topic is done. We're going to jump into the NFL, the king of kings during the fall, America's favorite sport. Baseball in America's pastime no more. It's football. NFL Sunday, NFL Monday, NFL Thursday. 3 days a week, football. It's life. God and football, man. God and football. God, family, football. Football, family, God. Whatever you want to do. So NFL recap, week 5. We have some great games. We definitely slowed down on the betting because I was getting cracked. I ain't gonna lie, I was getting cracked. I hit a few here and there, but I was losing more than I was winning. So we slowed down on the bets. Got a little trip plan. Got to stash a little coins off to the side so I have some money for my vacation. I don't want to be broke. So we did hold off on the betting for a little bit. But if you're out there betting, don't bet beyond your means. If you can afford a $20 bet, you do your ass a $20 bet. Don't go any higher than that. So NFL recap week 5. We had some great games. Some noticeable games was Pats versus Bills on Sunday night. Patriots coming out with the upset. They played well. They played physical. They brought it to the Bills. And I feel like with the Bills, and then we're going to get to this Eagles game later, those two teams were both undefeated. But I feel like just because they were undefeated, it was masking a lot of issues they might have had. The Bills offense and the Eagles offense is pretty vanilla. They rely heavy on on one thing. The Bills are more Josh Allen, here's the ball, go do backyard football, scramble around, throw a ball across the field, throw a ball, sidearm, like a little sweeper, sweeper. I've been watching a lot of playoff baseball. You got to throw the sweeper, the sweeper. So I feel like those kind of teams, even though they were undefeated, it was masking a lot of the issues that they were having, because when you're winning, you're not really you're not really concerned with those things because you're winning. So I feel like with those two teams losing this past week, it's going to really make them reevaluate what they're going to do as a team. Like the Eagles, do we want to run again like we did last year? Do we want to give Saquon the ball? Do we want to go pass heavy? Do we want to do, how are we going to go about this? What's our balance going to be? And I feel like with the Bills, it's kind of the same thing. You got James Cook. Your receivers aren't the greatest, so Josh Allen does create a lot of plays for them. They do get open because he does scramble a lot. So a lot of the times when they're open, it's a scramble play, like a fire drill type of situation. So that's kind of where they're at with that. We had the Bucs at Seattle. That was a great game. Baker came down with another comeback. He's definitely up there for possible MVP candidate. He's right. If he's not top 5, he's right. He's 5B. So I think Baker Mayfield's also playing good football. So is Sam Darnold. I really had the feeling that maybe Sam Darnold wasn't going to be able to be consistent like he was last year coming into this year, especially leaving the Vikings offense, being under, Coach I think it's McConnell, his name is. So I think, I didn't think he was going to maybe not be too successful with the Seahawks, but he's continuing that great play. He's doing really well. He's earning his paycheck, and I'm really happy to see Sam Darnold playing well. I'm really happy to see Baker Mayfield playing well. Baker Mayfield just kind of always gives you like that dude vibe. Like he could just, walk up in the garage, have a brewski, throw some darts with you, talk some shit. So I feel like that's the kind of, he seems like a cool dude like that, pretty humble, pretty down to earth. He had his little run of Progressive commercials or whatever he was in. I don't know if it was like State Farm, maybe one of those insurance companies. So, or Aflac, who fucking knows? So I feel like Baker's playing well, Sam Darnold's playing well, and I'm looking forward to this NFC West with the Seahawks, the Rams, and the Niners. All these teams playing really good. Niners already beat the Seahawks and the Rams, so they got that leg up on those teams. So I like the NFC West a lot. Their division's panning out to play pretty good. Bucks are going to probably run that division, being in the NFC South. Not a lot of competition. You got the Falcons, you got the Saints. They are what they are. I don't need to waste any more air on that. So I just wasted 2 minutes of my life talking about those two horrible franchises. So that's kind of NFL Week 5 recap. Those are the 3 games that stood out to me the most. And we're looking forward to Week 6, and we'll go over Week 6 next week with some other things. All right, we're going to jump in. We're staying on NFL. We're going to do my top 5 MVP candidates in my personal opinion. This is as of right now. It's going to change. It'll change from week to week as play maybe doesn't get as consistent or gets more inconsistent, or maybe someone just climbs up the ladder and their play just outplays everybody else at that time. So right now, my number 1 playoff top 5 MVP candidates, starting at number 1, I got Daniel Jones. Number 2, Jared Goff. Number 3, I got Jonathan Taylor. Number 4, I got Puka Nacua. And 5, I actually have Dak Prescott. So I try to, it's hard to find an MVP unless you really watch film, and you got to watch a lot of games and a lot of tape. And it's kind of like a number. It's a statistic. It's kind of a statistic-driven award. So that's why a lot of times it goes to the quarterback, because they got the ball in their hands the most. They're the leader of the team, yada, yada, yada. And so I try to find a couple other players outside of that. And I thought Puka Nacua and Jonathan Taylor were great position players. The Rams asked Puka to do a lot of work. He blocks. He runs off tackle. He'll probably play quarterback. You need him to throw a flea flicker. The guy catches balls. You don't see him dropping too many balls. He takes licks and gets up. He's a tough dude. So I like his game a lot. I've liked him since when he first came into the league. I think it was like 3 years ago. I was still in fantasy league, and as soon as I saw him play after week 1, I think Cooper Kupp might have been out. I was like, I need that dude. Get me that guy. And so I've been following Puka since then. I like the Rams organization. I like Sean McVay. So I'm really good. I'm really happy to see Puka thriving now, especially with Devontae Adams there. See, that's another thing. It's like Devontae Adams probably does open up a lot of stuff for him, because a lot of teams are putting their number one corner, or maybe their number 2 corner on Devontae, and that can free up Puka a lot, because he's going to beat a lot of these number 2 corners if they're putting 2 corners on him, a number 2 corner. And then Dak, because of the expectation, no one had expectations for the Cowboys. No one thought they would be any good. Previous to even the Micah Parsons trade, which, funny side note, I seen a thing, I don't know if it's true or not, but Jamar Chase, the receiver for the Bengals, has more solo tackles than Micah Parsons does. If that's true, that's a problem. Anyways, so yeah, with Dak, I think he's playing really well. The guy's always throwing the ball really well. They're always going to put points on the board. They had a big game against the Jets this past week, blew them out, took care of business as they should have, which is good. That's what you want to see. Brian Schottenheimer is doing really well at head coach, especially with the new system. So Dak's picking up on that a lot. I'm not a big Cowboy guy. I could care less about him. But if you're going to be honest, you got to be honest. And if you're a true football fan, you're going to tell the truth. And Dak Prescott's playing great football. And he's a number 5 on my MVP candidate. And then, like I was just saying previously, at 5B, I'd probably put Baker Mayfield. I think Baker's right there on the outside looking in at being in the inside of the MVP race. So that's just kind of where I'm at. Hit me in the comments section. Let me know who your top 5 NFL MVP candidates are as of right now. And if you guys have any defenders on there, I'd love to hear why you put a defensive player on there. I really did think about maybe throwing Myles Garrett on there. He does play well. He opens up a lot for that defense, for that D-line. He helps out the secondary a lot. But I just really have to look at the number or watch film, because if you're going to put a defender on an MVP list, it's not going to be based off stats. It's going to be based on what he creates for his team on defense. And like I was saying, typically this is a kind of award that's based off statistics. So that's that. And that was our NFL recap, and that was our top 5 MVP candidates. We're going to flip over to some MLB playoff updates. So MLB, they recently had their wild card round pass. I've actually been I'm not going to lie. I had mentioned I do watch this pretty much baseball during the playoffs, but I have been pretty intrigued. I've been trying to follow the games at work, listening on the radio, because they put them on at the weirdest fucking times. Like, oh, we got a 12 o'clock game on a Tuesday. Okay, the white man will show up. He'll get his day off of work, whatever. So, so we got in the wild card round, we had the Tigers advance. We also had the Yankees advance. The Dodgers advanced, and so did the Cubs. So right now we got the Tigers versus Mariners. I believe the Mariners had just won that game as I was about to record. So they're going in for a closeout game on their next game. Toronto was up 2-0. I believe the Yankees had just come back, so I don't know the final of that one. So that one could be a 2-1 series, but Toronto has been playing really well. The bats, they're hitting the ball really well. They're hitting bombs out here. They've scored a lot of runs. Vlad Jr. is playing really well. He opened this past game up with a home run. So they're doing really good. The Brewers came out and did an onslaught on the Cubs both games. The first game, they scored more runs in one inning than the Padres did in 3 games in the wild card round against the Cubs. So that just shows you how shitty the Padres bats were. Those dudes were just fanning everything, just giving out a cool breeze, the whole fucking Chicago, just giving out cool breezes to Wrigley. So there's that. And then the Dodgers took care of business against the Reds, which was a no-brainer. And they're up 2-0 on the Phillies right now. Game 1, they had to come back. I think they had the lead. Game 2, almost blew it. But Dodgers are in the zone right now. They're playing really good baseball. And, so with that being said, I'm going to get my ML. I don't watch baseball. This is all just off my intuition. Like Mr. Einstein said previously, go with your intuition. Go with that gut feeling. Stay curious. So I'm going to get my MLB World Series prediction. I'm going to go Toronto. And Milwaukee. I think the Dodgers will probably get in there, but I just want to see some different teams. I think Toronto and Milwaukee would be some great teams. They both hit the ball really well from what I've seen these first few games. So I think it's going to be Toronto and Milwaukee for my MLB World Series prediction. Mark it, book it, talk shit if I'm wrong, because I probably will be, but I will be boasting if I'm right. You can bet your ass I will be, honey. All right, and that was our MLB playoff update with our MLB World Series prediction attached to that. And next up at the end of the show, it's the Juiced Up Text. All right, so my Juiced Up takes for today, I got a couple doozies. Our first one was a newer one. Allen Iverson has been doing a book promo for his new memoir, and he was on CBS Mornings today, and he talked about how he's been sober off alcohol for 6 months. And you know, I had talked about addiction in a previous episode and just kind of how it affects people. And obviously, alcohol is one of the bigger addictions that people deal with in America. Drinking is obviously, I know, something that people love to do to relax, to entertain, to, you know, when you have functions, which Americans do have a lot of functions. You know, drinking is usually you're partaking in drinking. So for him to quit, you know, being at the age of 50 and being 6 months sober. One of the quotes I took from the article, which is on TMZ, you can find the article on TMZ. He says one of the best decisions he ever made in life was to stop drinking. And when you hear that from somebody, you can really you can feel it. Like, you know, maybe they really did have a problem in that, you know, like if you know someone that is drinking or if you're in the same position that he might have possibly been in, um, you know, like it can happen to anybody. That's what he also said too. You know, it can happen to anybody. He's like, I'm just like everybody else. I got problems, and I got to deal with it, and I got to handle it, and be you know, be a man about it. So I thought that was pretty cool. You know, you don't see Allen Iverson a lot in the public eye too much unless you're like a basketball head and you just love basketball. But you know, growing up as a kid, I love watching this guy play. He was always undersized, but he went hard. He went hard. He played hard, and he left it all out in the court. He was one of the first guys that had like tattoos. He was the first one, like one of the first dudes, like tatted up on his whole body. He had the cornrows, so he kind of like brought that hood element into basketball. And then next thing you know, everyone's tatted up. Dudes had the cornrows, and it was looking real hood out there on the basketball court. And I don't think the commission. I think it was like David Stern. I don't know. David Stern was the godfather, so no one really messed with him too much. But I don't know how happy he was to see tattoos and cornrows coming into this white sport, and you know, just kind of how that style just took over. And now it's you know, dudes are tatted up to their necks, tatted on the face, probably tatted on their butt cheeks. So I just thought that was a great article. I just wanted to share that. So you know, go try to look for his memoir. He's promoting his new book. And that's Allen Iverson is talking about how he's been 6 months sober off alcohol. And it's been one of the best decisions he ever made. And obviously, getting over addictions isn't easy. It does feel good to be, you know, not waking up with hangovers, I'm sure, for him, or just always feeling like shit because you need a drink, or, you know, you can only socialize with drinking, or maybe he was a bad drunk. But good for him. Props to Allen Iverson. AI, man, I loved watching you play, and I'm glad that you're, you know, taking care of your body and you're getting healthy now. All right, our next story is a little more, you know, it's a little somber, but it has a great end to it. And it also involved like a daughter. So obviously I got two daughters, and whenever there's something involved with daughters or kids, it's always going to get my attention, and it's always going to tug at the heartstrings. So this article is about an 11-year-old girl. Her dad, her and her mom and her little brother, her 8-year-old brother, were staying with her grandparents, her mom's parents, and it was to stay away from the dad because the dad was abusive and he was hurting the mom and attacking the mom. So this dad had broken into their house through a broken window, started attacking the mom again, punching her and stabbing her. And the daughter just so had happened to jump in front of the mom and protect her. And this guy had shanked the daughter in the arm, cutting her arm. And while all this was taking place, the 8-year-old son had ran next door and had the neighbors call the cops. And so it like really makes you like realize, like, you know, there's some kids out there that are going through some shit and some fucked up shit, and it makes you feel bad for them, and it makes you wish that they could be in a better predicament. And it sucks that these dudes get like this, you know, because the guy probably is he's obviously a dirtbag scumbag. He probably treated this chick like shit. And then as soon as she left him, his ego was so bruised, he couldn't handle it, which is a typical situation for a male. You know, males will cheat on a woman, fuck around on a woman, but as soon as the woman cheats on them, it's the end of the fucking world, and their ego's blown up, and now they want to fight everybody. They want to beat the chick. So that's kind of how it goes. And that's coming from a man saying that. And so, you know, that's some real talk right there. So for the fact that this little girl protected her mom from the dad, and the brother had the, you know, the balls enough to get up and run it, and he didn't freeze in the moment, and he ran next door, and he you know, and they called the cops, and the mom ended up living, the daughter's gonna live, the dad's gonna get locked up. Hopefully they don't have to deal with this scumbag ever again. But that just made me really, you know, it made me realize like there's some fucked up shit going on out there, and you gotta be, you know, you gotta be humble in your own state, in your own life sometimes, even when you think your life is all messed up. There's definitely some other stuff going on out there with someone else that doesn't deserve it, and they're way too young to have to deal with that. So You know, I hate to end the show on that note, but it was a good story, and obviously, you know, it was cool. So next week on the show, we're gonna start talking a little NBA. We're getting close to the NBA, a little hoop action, crossover. Jordan. So you know, we'll talk a little NBA, go over some. Maybe we'll go over the Western Conference, the Eastern Conference. We'll start talking NBA. They just had their preseason going on. They had some games in Abu Dhabi, and so we'll talk about that. We'll talk a little pop culture. We'll give a new MLB playoff update. And, of course, we'll do our NFL recap. If there's some good college games, I think we got Oregon and Indiana coming up. Maybe we'll talk a little college football if we have some good games we're talking about. But that's our show. I appreciate the watch. Maybe remember to like, hit subscribe, pass the word along. And that's the end of our show. The juice has been squeezed. Have a good night.